Hi guys, welcome to the Sister Act podcast, season 1, episode 10. We have a
Wow.
special guest today.
We do indeed. So, Dad, there were a couple of people that asked. They like your voice. First of all, they do like your
I'm
voice.
honored.
Yeah, your voice is great. It's nice to listen to. Actually,
So
Has
can
any-
I sing?
no.
No.
Has anybody ever told you that, like from your preaching years?
Never.
Really?
No way!
Come on.
Nope. Never.
That's
No
weird.
way, that's so
Never.
weird. Well, anyway, so we just thought since our podcast is about family, sisterhood so far, right? I mean,
So
who
far,
knows,
who knows where it'll go?
Where it'll go.
Who knows?
The first season, I feel like it would just be such a perfect way to wrap it all up. I can't believe we're in the season finale, Dad. Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe it. It's hard to believe that you ladies have a podcast.
Right? Okay. Do you have any like questions for Dad before we talk about the topic? We have a specific topic
We
for
have a
today.
specific topic. I just wanted to ask Dad, how are you feeling today? Are you ready to speak on this
I'm-
topic?
I'm feeling good. I feel like I want to sing.
Oh, no.
I believe the children
Wow.
are the future. No?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. No.
Oh my
He
god.
really did sing. Oh.
Oh, all right.
It's family. It's children. So,
Anyway.
Oh wait, specific yung song choice niya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's children.
I see what you did there, Dad. Good job. Yeah, since we have you, Dad, I wanted
Okay.
to ask number 1, will you do this regularly with us?
With today's scheduling
well,
and
you
setup,
know what?
With how easy it was.
You know,
today.
yeah, it's,
it's a
it's
very
like
professional setup.
Yeah, real professional setup. I'm so used to being a talent and just, waiting for these networks to get their act together. So I'm used to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding.
This is a self-produced.
yes.
Well,
No.
produced podcast.
Nico is sitting
Will-
in front of us right
Will-
Checking our sound.
First of all, I want to say this. I'm honored that you would have me. I'm grateful that you would have me. Of course, your mom was supposed to join us, but she couldn't. But I'm grateful that you want us to be part. So I'm grateful for that. We're honored, of course. And yes, I would be open to doing it as long as it's needed. It's necessary.
now. Okay.
But I
We'll
wouldn't
choose
want
the
to be like
controversial
a flower
topics
on the
for him.
wall or something like that.
No, you have lots of amazing things to say. Okay, great.
Okay.
So we have it on record that Dad will guest again. So this will not be the first and last time. We have introduced ourselves as a family. The podcast has heavily revolved around our issues, our childhood, our experiences.
Your
Our
issues with us parents.
Yes, our issues, right?
Mhm.
Now, but I think it would be very refreshing to ask. You raised 5 kids. I mean, your youngest is 22.
It
Tama
wasn't
ba?
always the plan. but
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
That's
Your-
for another time.
That's for
Okay,
another
that's for
time. Your
another
youngest
time.
is 22.
22. He is 22.
22 na siya.
Yeah, he is. He's
Oo
20.
nga, no?
Your youngest is 22. Your oldest daughter is
Is
30,
35.
35. So you had 5 kids. I don't know what the math is, but you had 5 kids quick, okay? And
I think they had 5 kids in.
No, over a
12
span
years.
of 13 years. 13.
over a span of 13 years,
13.
you were in full-time ministry. Mom was running a business. The
Yep.
household was busy. There are so many schedules. You were living in Metro Manila. Like everything, like me now, as I always refer to as being a parent, like a lot of things
Mhm.
are put into perspective now that I just have one. So for me, I wanted to ask, what was it like, at the end of the day when you and Mom kind of
Mhm.
walked into your room, assessed your day? Like, what was the thought process in that busy season? What were your conversations like? And how did you get through raising
you have
5 kids?
conversations?
Yes. Did you talk at all?
Your mom and I, did we have conversations?
Yeah, I know. I wanted to ask. Like,
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's kind of like I'm a senior citizen now, so the years have
hindi halata.
have progressed.
Hindi
Okay.
halata.
So ngayon, parang hindi ko na maalala lahat. But anyway, I'll try. Frankly speaking, your mom and I were very excited to have children. We were excited to have children.
really?
We were very excited.
Aw,
Um,
she's gonna
we
cry.
didn't have Isa right away.
Yeah.
She came a year and a half after we got married. And so what happened was, we were excited. It's just like, while we were doing lahat ng pwedeng magawa na you're not married yet. You know, we traveled and stuff like that. Tapos, then Isa came out. You know, and so that was fun. We've said this to many of our friends everywhere, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've said that we were happy with our first three daughters, and the two that came, number 4 and number 5, were the best surprises, you know, parents can have. And so we had that. We were excited kami to have kids. It was fun. I think there was a different mindset back then too. When people wanted to get married, they sort of like, they wanted, of course, we know that people got married younger. You know, your mom and I was
For
23,
sure.
she was 22.
23
So
and
she-
22.
Yeah.
Wild.
So
I could never.
That's Elijah now.
Yes.
If you think about it.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Can you
That's
imagine Elijah now
Getting
I
bending,
would smack his face.
you know, getting on one knee?
probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyway.
I would like pull his shirt back up so he wouldn't kneel
See,
down.
that is how crazy it
Oh,
is.
nga
Like
naman.
Yeah.
you can't even imagine
Medyo wild nga.
yeah,
Yeah.
your child now. That's the age you got married.
Yeah, that's right. That's about right. Anyway, so wow, that's pretty wild to think about that. I definitely don't think
He's ready
Elijah
for
would
marriage.
be ready. Anyway, okay.
Sorry, Elijah.
Kayod ka muna, huy.
Oh.
Anyway, so we were excited, and yun nga, parang we were, the mindset sort of that time was like, you know, boy and girl would get together because you wanted to build lives together. You
Yeah.
wanted to build your career. You wanted to build your family together. It was something that you do together. It's a little bit different today, but that's another topic. But anyway, of course, it was, you know, very, very challenging. You know, it's very challenging. The transition's always very challenging. It happened fast.
Yeah,
Before we knew it, there were 5.
exactly.
That's right.
So it happened very fast. You know, your Tito Joe and Tito Chicky have 5. You know, Tita Gigi and Tito Lee have 5.
Those are his siblings, by
Yeah,
the way.
the siblings. And then your Tita Jen has 3. And so they said, yung mga Fabregas nagtitingin na lang, nabubuntis na. So ganun
That's
talaga yung ano.
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you
So
very much. for
anyway.
that.
R-rated pala
R-
tong episode
Dad,
natin
very PG
ngayon.
kami dito, Dad. Okay.
No, so yun, we were actually excited, but of course, it's never without its challenges. So, you know,
And what
you
were
know,
those challenges,
Just tayo sa
Dad?
challenges tayo.
sa challenges.
How can you say that?
For me, I mean, it's such a broad question. So let
Yeah.
me simplify it, right?
Yeah.
Times where it was like you know that okay, the energy in this home, it's a little tense, right? Like you could tell. What would you guys tell each other? Like what was something that you thought na
That's a great
okay, you know,
question.
what was like your okay, how do we
How
get
did you
through
guys
Alright.
align?
yeah, how do you
Okay.
get through this hurdle? Because there's so many, whether it's financial, whether it's your
Sure.
kids are like nagwawala or, you know, makulit yung isa.
At saka, yung nagwawala, madalas yun. But anyway, okay, so yun.
Sige. Yeah, that's it. Parang how did you align? That's good, Nix.
Yeah, here, I want to say this. I want to say this from the start. Your mom and I are absolutely far from being perfect parents. Where you all are today and where we are today is simply by the grace of God. We trusted God through the whole process. But of course, it's not just trusting God. You need you need help. You need community, and there are other people to say thank you to. Or I do want to say thank you, and I do want to honor our mentors as parents, Steve and Deborah Merle. They were our mentors, and they lived good parenting in front of us. Their marriage as well was an example for us to follow. And of course, we had a lot of discussions. They encouraged us with books, and there were
Yeah.
seminars in church. So it was very helpful. And we can't take credit for all of this without giving credit where credit is due. And they really helped us. So we saw that. And so when we did go through challenges, many times we did run to them.
Yeah.
We did run to our other pastor friends, Joey and Marie Bonifacio. We would run to them too. And, I would say that, when there were challenges, whether there were finances or, let's say finances, probably we would really pray. We just really pray, Lord, help us through this. Entering the ministry was not your mom's dream when we got married, but your mom was very game,
She's a
and she
soldier.
supported, and she was a soldier, and she supported me because I felt that God was calling me into ministry. So she really supported me. Very grateful for that. But yung finances, practical. But marriage, let's say, for example, if we had marriage struggles, we would go to like Steve and Deborah or the other pastors in church or whatever. For parenting, like with you kids, we had to learn, we had to learn by observing them. We kind of had to ask them questions. It was like a community of us. There was a community,
We're all kind of like learning together
yes,
as
we were
well.
kind of learning
yeah.
together.
I was gonna say, would you say you were very grounded in a community
We
in
were
the early years of parenting?
definitely very, very grounded. I would say, like I said, I mentioned Joey and Marie, Joel and Jenny Magpantay, because we were the ones early on that we had
Kids.
children.
Yeah.
And all of you are, kind of
The same
similar
age.
age range. The Bonifacios and the Merles were a little bit older.
But
but
then tayo na. Kami na.
Yeah. Then Joel and Jenny, and then some of the other, and then
The
of course the other
Hensons.
parents. Yeah, the Hensons, and
Yeah.
then some of the other parents who had young children.
By the way, these are
it was
people
community.
he works with. Just
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
those
are pastors.
yeah, those are
Yeah.
other pastors that I mentioned that we worked with, but not only pastors. We had other friends who were
Right.
not in the ministry, who we really also really relied on. Call each other up and, hey, what do you do here? And we were in
like
each
Tito
other's.
Arnel and Tita
Arnel and Rola
Rola.
Vismonte. So I mean, we're calling each other up. What do we do here? How do you do this? And so, probably the greatest strength that we had was the pillar of
Friendship.
community, the
Wow.
friendships. The pillar of community was really the best. Of course, we read books. There was
Mom read the books too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she read the books.
After she didn't need to parent anymore. That's when she
Yeah,
stopped
she-
reading.
yeah, yeah.
That's true, no? She read the books early on, and then she was
it-
like,
it
I'm
was
done.
necessary
I'm
for
done with
her.
the
Yeah.
research.
So
She-
community was probably the best thing we had.
Mm-hmm.
We were all, and here's the thing. It's one thing to have community, but the community has to have the same goals.
Yeah.
Right.
And that community we had a strong community. We all wanted to be good parents. That was the endeavor. Again, we had that community to help us during those times. And so, yeah, it was very, it was very fun. It was very exciting. It was very, there was grueling times. There were challenging times, but really because of community and because, like I said earlier, because of the grace of God, it was really, it was a joy.
Overall
It was
joyful. I was gonna
yeah,
say
it was a very joyful
it's a joyful
season.
vibe that I'm getting from his early years. It's
No,
not
no,
like
no, no.
it's like this struggle. You know what I
No,
mean?
no,
like
no.
looking
Yeah.
back. So he has fond memories.
No,
Yeah.
no. We have
And-
definitely.
And that's
yeah.
very encouraging. We have a very special topic, but before that, among the five, okay, ito
What
na.
are you about to ask, Rebecca?
Okay.
Who was the hardest to discipline?
Rebecca.
Why? Bakit? We're gonna be talking about something related to it.
Okay, fine.
Mm.
Yeah, Dad. Who
Who
was
was
it?
the hardest? We're gonna go each. May ano yan? Kasi totoo naman eh. Like who would obey immediately? Obey immediately, guess ko Ella.
I hear a lot of comparisons.
We're all different. So
Yeah.
may comparison talaga.
Huh.
I'm not asking who's the most pasaway. I was
You
like,
know
who's
what?
the hardest to discipline?
Alam ko na.
Pinaraphrase mo lang
Oh,
yun.
sige na nga.
Ganito yan. I think you need a second episode
Okay.
where your mom can answer that question.
Yeah, but you answer your side
Yours,
before
yours.
she
Ayaw mo
answer
sumagot?
hers.
Ayaw mo
Just
sumagot?
lay it
It's
down on
okay.
us. It's fine.
We're big girls.
Bea and I can handle ourselves.
I know who you're gonna say.
We'll cry.
anyway.
We'll cry later.
Okay.
I know who you're gonna say.
How dare you? Stop looking at me.
All right. For the record, from my perspective at least,
You did this.
and maybe in this order, the two hardest to discipline was Nica,
Okay.
Okay.
and then the
Okay.
second was Ella.
No way.
I mean, sorry, Isa. Sorry, Isa.
Oh, I was like,
So
Nika.
for-
Nika, Isa.
Nika,
in
Isa.
order.
In order.
So wait, I'm number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number one, and then
You did this on purpose.
then
You-
That's my bad.
and then Isa, and then
Nah, her. She's there.
no, early on. And
Early
we're talking
on.
about early,
Early
on,
on, sige na,
early
sige
years,
Like as kids.
kids, as kids, Bea, Ella, and
No.
no, it would be
there's
it would
no
be
way.
Bea and Elijah next, about sabay,
Sabay. Yeah.
parang patas lang, tapos si Ella yung pinakamadali.
Yeah.
Ella was
Just like the sweetest heart.
Yeah, Ella was the
It's like
sweetest.
such a tender
sweetest
heart.
You know, that's
tender
probably
and,
why
Yeah.
Elle and I live so well together. It's because I'm number 1 and she was number 5.
Yeah. Wow.
So like
Mhm.
personality wise,
Oh,
like we
wow.
just
I
are so
mean,
compatible.
yeah, Nix,
Okay.
there's growth naman. So
Bastos
this
ka.
Now, for the 9 of you who are listening to this podcast, for the 9 who are,
You know what?
for the record,
Being number 1 just meant I had the most character development.
okay,
for the
for
nine
the
of
record,
them,
okay, that was when they were young. The order may have
change.
changed
Pag ano, teenager.
in the teenage years.
Oh, teenager.
teenage
Medyo
years.
nag-
Sige
Teenage
na.
years.
Hindi na.
Sina.
Hindi na. Oh.
Teenage years.
Sige na,
The
teenage
teenage years of some of them rose to the occasion. I seen literally rose to the
Sige
occasion.
na.
Yeah,
sige
so
na.
who were those?
Teenage years. Teenage to college. Teenage to college. Sinong ano? Jackpot.
Jackpot si Bea. Jackpot si Bea.
Sabi ko sa inyo eh.
Jackpot. So at
Yan
least
kasi, tanong
kaya
ka
pala,
ng
kaya
tanong
pala
eh.
kayong dalawa yung nagpa-podcast.
Tanong ka ng tanong. Ayan, tuloy.
I knew it
Kaya
was
pala-
coming. I knew it naman eh.
That's why both of you are in the podcast kasi kayo yung
Liter-
mga number 1.
Literally, I
Okay.
knew naman. High school to college ako yun. For
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
So,
why are you...
then Isa was again at number 2. Isa stayed consistent
yeah,
at number
consistent
2.
at number 2.
And then I would say Nica, Ella and Elijah, you know,
Right.
sort of like just the 3 of them pretty even. So your mom of course might have a different
Different answers.
Yeah. Okay.
She'll say, Nica, Nica, Nica.
Okay, wait.
Okay.
Okay, so since we were talking about, I guess the order in which we were disciplined, or who was the most difficult to discipline, today we wanted to talk about favoritism.
Mm.
And I guess the reason why we brought it up was because
Okay.
I'm sure you parented different. I mean, not I'm sure. You did parent us really differently.
Mhm.
I mean, I think you individualized your parenting
Sure.
very well. And I guess I wanted to ask you, did you guys talk about that before having kids? Like, was that a topic of discussion to not have favorites? Was it a...
Yeah. Before you answer that question, Dad, we have got. I think it's normal.
We get
for
it a
people,
lot, yeah.
It's
Okay.
normal for people to ask. People ask us all the time, who's
your favorite sibling?
Who's your favorite sibling? Who's the favorite child?
Who's your favorite parent?
Who's Tyler's favorite tita? Like, it's a question that we get a lot, and
Sure.
even growing up, we've heard it a lot. And I've even had people tell me to my face that your parents actually have favorites. You just don't know who the
Yes.
favorite is, and they're just not telling you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think when we all say across the board, the 5 Fabricus kids can say, no, we believe that there is no favorite. I think it's a testament to
Sure.
your parenting that there's truly no favorites.
Sure.
And I mean, again, so I think it's important to establish that there were different styles. Like you treated
Right.
us differently.
Of course.
But we knew that it was specialized in a way. So it
Right.
wasn't, that's how we can say na, hindi siya paborito kasi
Sure.
may version din ako niyan eh, na
Sure.
na may
Like,
understanding
you adjusted
kami.
according-
Exactly.
According to
Sure.
the kid.
So, Nika's question is, pinag-usapan niyo na ba yan before you had kids?
In my recollection, yes, we did discuss it, and it was because the reason that the topic came up, we had recommitted our lives to Christ very early on, shortly before we got married. We were wanting to grow in our Christianity. We were wanting to grow in Christian values and things like that. So these were discussed. And because of my family background was quite volatile. It was a volatile, and anyway, for my parents, they tried their best, and so it was a very unique, definitely a unique family background experience, and there was favoritism.
Mm-hmm.
There was favoritism. I think there was favoritism, on both sides of the family. All experienced it, and I want to say this about favoritism. It's not our parents. Most of our parents' generation, they did the best they could. They really
Yeah.
tried. That's what they knew, and I don't think maybe they don't realize that there are, consequences. There are, some very deep consequences to it. But again, honestly, I really, really believe that they were just doing the best that they could. You know what I mean? And of course, we know that favoritism is not unique to, Philippine society or Philippine culture.
Yeah, definitely.
It happens, in different cultures around the world. But here in the Philippines, it's very unique. In fact, diba, I mean, some people will just say it out. Oh,
Yeah,
this is my
paborito
favorite.
ko
Yeah,
yan eh.
paborito ko yan and ganyan. And of course, in some cultures, they say, the male is, the young man or the boy is, more favored than, and a daughter. In some cultures, unfortunately, it's still like that in the world. So it's not unique, but yun nga. So we definitely discussed it. We didn't want to make the same. I don't want to say, yeah, well, I guess mistakes. We can say they were mistakes because we saw the consequences.
Personally.
Personally, we felt, we saw the consequences, especially on my side, more on my side of the family, I guess. And so as we started to, there's a scripture that says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So as you grow in your faith and, as you read scripture and things, you start to grow, you begin to see that, hey, some of these practices that are cultural, taken as a norm, is not necessarily the best according to, according to our faith. So we have to make adjustments. And so we did discuss it. And so that's the advantage that we had, is because we were able to identify it early on. We didn't want to, again, make the same mistakes. But we had Steve and Deborah again and the whole community to grow with us, to help us through that. We were able to discuss it, and therefore, I think we were able to, avoid it in that sense. Yeah.
Well, coming from what we were discussing earlier, right? We were talking about which one of your kids were the most difficult to discipline, right? And it's hard not to favor, like, realistically speaking, it's hard not to favor someone who is just easier, right? So how were you able to avoid
Yeah. Like,
not favoring a kid, like parang sana ganito ka? Like, I
Yeah.
wish you were
Mm.
more like this kid, or I wish you were more like your ate or your brother. And like, how did you?
yeah. And to add to that, I think as early as we were like babies, you would compare us, but not make us feel kind of bad for the way we were.
Mhm.
Like, you just said, Isa as a baby was loud and cried and and notified the whole land.
Mhm.
And me as a baby, I was, believe it or not, I
Believe
was
it or
very, very quiet. I didn't
There
utter
was a time
That was
she didn't
a
yap.
long time ago in a galaxy far,
Far away.
far,
This
far
is
away.
because you pushed me
Okay.
to
all
be,
right, go.
to come
To
out
break
of, yeah,
out.
to break out
Okay.
of my shell. No, but so back
You
to
broke out.
I-
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
She
Dad.
disintegrated the shell.
Obliterated,
No, I'm
disintegrated, same. Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
still
okay.
shy.
Okay,
I'm
go.
still shy. So you guys basically would just call it for what it is without the child without making the child feel bad that they were that way.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of fact. You were loud, you were quiet.
Yeah.
Nothing was better, nothing was worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like how Nica pointed that out. Na how are you guys able to do that during the difficult times? You know,
Yes.
surely there were moments na okay, mas madali si Ella or diba compared
Yeah.
to me, compared to Elijah. So walk us through that.
Okay. First of all, if my daughters are emotional, they get it from somebody. And so if while I'm talking about it, I get emotional.
Recognition is the first step.
Yeah. If I get emotional while discussing some of this, just bear with me, bear with us. So
I
anyway,
might cry. Oh
I
gosh.
do want to say this, and it's not, again, I don't want to pat myself on the back, in a proud sense, but I do want to mention one moment where you guys, all of you, validated that there was no favoritism, and especially it could be extra challenging in our case with 4 daughters and one
And
son,
one boy.
and the youngest pa.
Yeah.
yeah.
the youngest.
Bunso.
And what happened during the pandemic? When classes halted here, there was no face-to-face classes, and so my son, Elijah, our son, he wanted to, to try to go to school in the U.S., which is definitely going to be very, very challenging. And so he, sort of crawled into the room one day and, was asking us, is this a possibility? And the first thing that came to my mind is, how are my daughters going to feel about this or whatever? And, he asked and he said, okay, we considered and all of that. And really, what really blessed your mom and I was like when we asked you individually, each one of you individually, all of you were game and said, Dad, do what's best for Elijah. You did that for us. You gave us the best with what you and Mom had at our particular season. And right now in this season, we feel that would be the best for Elijah if it would be possible. And they were saying that we don't want to see him, college is such an important time. So if he can maximize his opportunity, good. So when the four of you came rallying behind him, it was so meaningful for us. I mean, it was like, wow, it's, and that gave us the confidence, to be able to, believe God, trust God, and send him to, to the U.S. to be able to finish his studies. So
Simply put,
especially
Yeah.
coming
hindi
from
nila
me.
afford that eh.
Oh,
True. Simply put. Simply put. Yes,
Oh,
and
yes.
and that's why that came up for you because you're giving something to someone that you weren't able to give to the
Yes,
others,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so it's nice to know that
Right.
that you thought of us, but again, we basically knew na ito yung kaya nyo at the time eh,
Right.
diba? So but yeah, back to Nica's
but
question.
because we had an understanding of that, there are some situations where you're not thinking of that. You're
Yeah.
just thinking of what I didn't get
Okay.
and what this
So,
kid is getting.
Yeah.
Right?
So, well, all of you, the four of you weren't like that, and we're so grateful. Your mom and I are so grateful, and I'm sure your brother appreciates that too. Now, back to your question: is how did we do it?
yeah. How did you manage
You know,
not favoring
we-
one kid?
yeah. As much as I don't want to.
It's okay, Dad. You can say you're a great dad. It's totally
No,
fine.
no. As much as I don't want to. No,
You're a
no.
great
I don't
dad.
want to. No.
It's fine.
No, what I mean is, I have to go back to where I'm centered in, and I'm centered in the Christian faith. When you have experienced the love of God in your own life, and then and you're able to grow that love in you, you begin to realize every child is definitely unique and definitely special. And that there's no need to compare, because every child has their own giftings, has their own talents, has their own aptitudes. And so the way to bring that out is to understand that. I'm trying to understand Bea. What's she gonna be like, or what are we praying? And your mom and I would discuss that. And Nica, what's that? It was kind of hard now with Nica, but anyway, so we would pray. I really believe that God gave us the ability to be able to appreciate each one of you for who you are individually and not compare.
Sure.
And therefore, we could appreciate each one of you in a different way,
Yeah.
and not compare. And I mean, sa totoo lang, it's very fulfilling. Each one of you gives a certain fulfillment and satisfaction and godly pride in our own
Sure.
hearts, where you're all pursuing what God wants you to do, and so it's that understanding that each child is unique,
Right.
each child is special. There's no need to compare. And our goal as parents is to understand that and point you in that direction. And hopefully, that when you get launched out into your own, in your own careers, and which the three of you have, or the four of you have already, at least. Now Elijah working, but of course his first job getting started. Elijah, hindi ka pa naglilibre after your first paycheck. But anyway, so yun, it's that understanding of, even if we had a hard time with Nica,
All right.
so
All
hard,
right. I think
we knew that,
I
like,
think we need to get over it.
we know that someday,
Stop it.
someday, no,
Stop.
no, really, parang someday, each one has their own
Magsusoften
strength.
din.
Yeah, not
Joke lang.
soften, not
I'm
the
just
soften,
totally
but
kidding.
no, there's a reason for it. There's a
Yes.
reason why they're that way.
She's a
And it's our
superstar.
it's our responsibility as parents to understand that and to build,
It's their responsibility
It's-
as parents to understand.
to
that.
understand that,
Yes.
It
and to
is.
build, and to
Yeah.
build, and to be able to point them where you will all be.
And
So what I'm getting here is that rooting out comparison
Yes,
really alleviates
Right. That's right.
the I guess the favoritism
or
Yeah.
at least
you know.
helps you look at everything with parang kumbaga equal playing field lahat
Yeah.
because
Equal,
there
yeah.
isn't any comparison. And I also what I got from that is basically one person having a certain strength wasn't better than the other. It was just that unique strength,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
And because when you're kids, it comes out in very, I don't know the word for it, but it comes out in very, parang kasi when you're kids, it's like, what's your talent? Or what are you good at, diba?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, obviously you're growing as a person, so it's not as dynamic. The strengths
Yeah.
aren't as developed. So when you're kids, it's very like,
yeah,
si Nica,
some people are
sumasayaw.
late bloomers, you know.
yeah, si Nica sumasayaw, si Isa kumakanta, si Ella athlete, si Bea, I don't know, what was the strength, right? I guess for me, what was a practice at home that was very intentional, I guess, when you were raising
Yeah.
us, that really helped you guys build our confidence
Yeah.
and build our confidence at the same time. We're also each other's teammates. Like we were rooting for each other,
Right.
but
I
we were
think it's
also
because of the environment of not having favorites or being compared to one another in a negative way. Because of course we were compared to each other.
Taka muna. Ako, may tanong ako.
Okay, go
okay.
ahead.
Go.
I mean, I may be wrong, but or I'll just ask. Did we ever say we wish you were more like your sister? Did you ever hear?
Absolutely not.
No, not
no.
we wish.
We
But-
wish you were more. Why can't you be more? We never
no,
said
it
that.
was
no?
it was never
What
in
was
that
it for you?
it was never in that manner. But there were times where it was just like,
Okay.
you know, if you just admitted that you were wrong earlier,
Mhm.
it would have been easier. Parang that's what you would tell me.
Okay.
You know, did you see how Ella, parang ganyan, did you see Ella said sorry agad? If you said sorry, like it was an example of what
Okay.
to do that was right.
Okay.
So it
In
was
that sense.
yeah, in that sense. It was
okay.
never like, tingnan mo si Ella, mas madali siyang tao, you know, and you're
Right,
difficult,
right.
you
Okay,
know.
I get it.
So it was never like pitting us against each other. It was
Sure.
more of an example.
Well, thank you, Lord.
I'm using Ella because she was
She really was so sweet.
the example. Yeah.
Okay. Elijah was also.
No.
Please, he's the bane of my
Stop it.
existence.
That
You
kid
know
was
what?
a handful.
I'm pretty sure that when
Okay.
you asked me about like his schooling in the States and I said yes, like go for it, I'm sure they were like shocked to their bones. Because like Elijah and I were fighting in the pandemic. And I was
Mm.
just like, I can't believe this person exists.
Shut
Mm.
up.
No, really, like he was like getting on my last nerve.
Yeah.
Like stop it. You're so
It
entitled.
seemed
He can
It
be a
seemed
little
that-
bit of a fly.
no, but it seemed that time that the feeling was pretty mutual, I think.
Yeah,
It was
Parang-
mutual, for sure.
Anyway, okay.
But yeah, back to my question, Dad.
Yeah.
Like a good practice.
A
I mean,
good-
something practical, you know, that you can apply when it comes to, I guess, when we're talking about like early family life.
Right. You know, being able to identify each one of you are good at and supporting. So Isa was obviously, she was singing, she was an artist. So, you know, we would bring her to her, you know, we would encourage her in her music lessons. We would, you know, in her voice lessons, whatever. And then with you, you know, we wanted you to try tennis. And just so we wanted you to try tennis. So we, you know, we brought you to that and we supported that. And then we supported what we could.
Yeah.
We supported whatever we could. Okay. And then, you know, with Nica and her dance, and, you know, and then, of course, with some children, it's more evident right away.
Yeah.
With others, it takes
You
some
gotta
time.
figure it
Yeah,
out.
You got to figure it out. And so, you know, with Ella and Elijah, it kind of took a while before they, before things started to diba? But again, kumbaga, that's one practice as as parents is, when you find something that your child likes, support them in that so that they can grow in that, they build confidence in that, Then of course, we would take you to your recitals and all
Yeah.
of that, and you know how we loved, taking Ella. Of course, there's certain things that you did sabay.
Yeah.
Siyempre, minsan sabay-sabay, hindi naman pwedeng individual at. So I mean, you all dance, but obviously, very early on, we understood.
Could you tell Dad that I couldn't dance early on?
We could tell. We could tell. No, we could
There were
tell
signs.
who. We could tell who was. We
No
could tell who
way.
was the dancer.
Yeah, for
we could
sure.
tell.
Malayo.
Anyway, so no, with Ella naman, with Ella, yeah, it, like I said, it sometimes takes longer. Different children some are more expressive than others. You know what I mean? But if you, as parents, if you do support them in what their interests are or what they're doing as much as possible, like I said, again, please understand, we're far from perfect parents, your mom and I, and
It's fine.
we tried our best prayerfully by the grace of God with our community, but that's what we would do. We would support each one of you. Then we would, you come to the games. We'd go to your games, and whatever and stuff like that. And so that's one practice, is support each one of them in where they're at, and not try to make them everybody sabay na lang. Now, of course, like I said, there's some activities are all together.
And singling out
Yeah.
now, okay, this is Bea's thing. We all have to support this.
Right.
This is Nica's thing. And we all have to, we're all on the same team. And I think also while you were talking, it reminded me half the job is just showing up
Yeah.
and being there and your
Yeah.
presence. And you
Yeah.
guys were, I don't know how the heck you guys did it. I really
Yeah.
don't. But
We
you
don't
guys,
either.
yeah, you were super present parents.
Mhm.
I mean, for at least for me, I mean, what's your experience?
It was hard,
No, you guys you were there.
Yeah.
You were there for us while everything was going on. For everybody listening, I guess we just wanted to talk about favoritism because we feel like it's such a wonderful topic to, I guess, discuss in a way that we saw that there was so much fruit in our lives
Yeah.
from it. The
I
fact that there was no favorites.
Yeah.
I think another intention that you didn't mention was something you guys did very often was you communicated with us
Mhm.
that things weren't going to be even. Things
Right.
weren't always going to be fair.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I think that was so helpful for us growing up because we're here understanding that your circumstances were different, right?
Yeah.
Depending on the season you were in, depending on the resources that you had. But you communicated that to us.
Right.
And so it
Just admitting it was already helpful.
yeah, it was I guess very humbling for parents to do that, right? To tell them hey, we can't do this right now, but we'll try another time, or we'll try this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or hey, we we want to do this for Elijah, and
Yeah.
I know we weren't
And you
able.
can't turn back time and do it for
Yeah.
us
Exactly.
anymore.
Right.
So, but the fact that you communicated that to us was so helpful.
Mm.
And I really feel a lot of people ask us why are you guys so close? And I would
Mhm.
say this is a very major reason why we're very close, is that we weren't pitted against each other at home. We were never because there were no favorites at home. We didn't resent I mean, of course there were times where we resented, each other,
Mhm.
right? But it
I
wasn't
never resented you.
stop
Mhm.
it.
Ever.
It wasn't like a lifelong resentment of
Yeah.
I just don't want to get along with this sibling, and I'm
Yeah.
just
No, I just remember, the timeline. Let's take it as far as, eating out. When it was Isa and Bea, they used to share French fries.
me too, man.
Wait, then things got a little better. By Nica's time, she had her own French fries.
Pero small lang.
Small lang. But then when Elijah and Ella came, they had their own now. By the time
Large.
by the time it came to Elijah,
Doble.
Starbucks na.
Starbucks na siya.
Starbucks na.
Oo. Ibang
Hindi lang
iba
yun.
talaga yun eh.
That is a very small example of
Yeah.
things that obviously played schooling,
Right.
activities, and all of that.
Yeah.
But I think what it's also important to state that it is not unnatural to feel bad. Ako as as your daughter, when I
Mhm.
would see Elijah be able to go to all of these international
Sure.
tournaments and
True.
do all of these things in the sporting realm.
Yeah.
Valid.
I would talk to you about it, and
Yeah.
I would openly say, Dad, I think if we had that then, diba?
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand that like being happy for your sibling that they have
Right.
something and wishing that you had it is also a very natural thing.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to turn into this
Yeah.
negative emotion of like, well, like I don't even know what the emotion would be.
To the
You know
point
what I
of
mean?
being like embittered or something.
Embittered,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
that I didn't have these opportunities, because ultimately you understand that it's not your parents that
Yeah.
are looking out for you. It's also God. The Lord is looking out for you. And
Sure.
a lot of those things that I wished as a child were healed in different ways
Sure.
as I went through life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's like it's so important to know that the Lord knows what your heart, what your the inner child in you
Yeah.
wants and
Yeah.
wanted and needed at the time. And
Yeah.
so that was a theme I definitely saw coming up when I was a kid, when I would see Elijah like do all of his trainings. I think a lot of like my healing, or I was never embittered about it because I always talked to you about it.
Yeah.
I always discussed it with you.
Right.
And it was very healthy.
And yeah, and like what I think I'm not sure if Nica had mentioned it, but parang yun nga, alam naman ninyo na when we would discuss it na parang, hey, look, we did the best that we could at same age. We poured out everything for each one of you in your different seasons. In every season, that's what we could do.
Yeah.
We gave our best, and and of course, the Lord was good, and blessed us a little bit more as things got better with your mom's business and things like that, and other things. But I think to talk about it like saying that, look, we're doing the best for each one
Yeah.
of you.
It's not
That
an
we
elephant
can.
in the room.
Yeah, we're doing the best for each one. We did the best for each one at the best we could. Things are different now. The situation's a little bit different.
There
And
are no
so-
elephants in the room.
Yeah, and then so and just just be happy. Just be happy for your siblings, and
Yeah.
Don't
and-
get us wrong. It was difficult. Like, it was difficult seeing that, Ella and Elijah had a little bit more
Yeah.
to work with. I would say obviously like Bea and Isa had like, the worst of their financial capacity, and as the middle child, the middle of the middle, I had a little bit of both. Like, I
Yeah.
experienced both.
So
but it-
Nika was the transition.
Mm-mm.
I
the
was the
transition
transition.
child. Which,
But
yeah.
it definitely was hard during those moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was still painful to see like, oh, my younger sister gets to do this and I couldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It
but
exists.
It exists,
Mm-mm.
exactly, which is what you were
Yeah,
Is
saying,
what I'm
right?
saying.
Like,
Hindi siya
you're-
yung parang, yeah, everything's fine. Absolutely
yeah,
not.
like you never
No.
pretended that things were fine,
No, no,
and
no,
you
no.
knew
Right.
that they did have more,
Yeah.
right? And which is why it was so helpful for us now as adults that you communicated it.
Right.
Because if you didn't, then I would be
Yeah.
in a different place.
Right.
Sure.
For sure.
Well, thank you for that. Now, I think also I do want to say that what you experienced, whether one of the reasons why, financially things were a lot more challenging than normal is because we were in the ministry nga. But your experience, I mean, I know other families that are, are about your mom and, the age of your mom and I, and they have, several kids as well. And the kids recount the same experience,
Sure.
when the family was starting out, things
It's
were,
pretty common.
yeah,
Obviously, you
it's-
grow, right?
It's pretty common to experience that the families get, they grow in their wealth and things like that.
Umaasenso.
Yeah, umaasenso ang okay lang naman yun di ba? So umaasenso sila and they experience that. But and it's good. It's a good thing. But it's always best to be able to communicate it,
Right.
so that there's open. And I think naman again, by the grace of God, we were able to do that with you, that you guys could discuss things with us and be open with us, for the most part. For
Okay.
the most part.
A lot of the responses that we've gotten from our podcast have been very sweet, very emotional responses, actually, that
Yeah.
sometimes they're not expecting something to kind of like come up, but because through our life experiences, they recount stuff that they've been through. And I just want to say that this definitely will bring up stuff, whether
Right.
whether
Yeah.
you can relate with us or whether your experience was not like ours.
Yeah.
And I don't want to end the episode without, I guess, just addressing it, Dad. I mean, you are a pastor.
Mhm.
This is something that you have counseled. So for those of you who don't know, part of your job, people
Sure.
Lots of people come up to
literally
you
people would
and
come to our homes.
bear their problems.
Yeah, we would have
and
so many
souls.
people just like come over to the house and
For
for
hours.
hours talk to mama, and like sometimes it would be like 6-7 hour dinners. Like it would finish at like 2 in the morning, and these people are just talking to you about
Sure.
basically what they're going
Life.
through, and that's basically what a counseling session looks like. And so in the topic of favoritism, maybe somebody that had struggled with it, or maybe somebody that has come to you with this, what is some godly advice that you would give them, like biblical
Sure.
advice to for me, it's not really even like, I think it's, what is the word, acceptance, or
Mhm.
to heal.
To heal.
Heal eh,
To
diba?
heal,
Heal
yes.
yun eh.
Because
Oo.
It's a wound for
yeah,
sure.
favoritism
It's a
causes
deep
pain.
wound, Yeah.
Yes.
It causes pain, and again, I don't, I what I want to say is, our parents, our generation of parents, again, they did their best. They did their best with what they knew, and so whether and like I said, it's a cultural thing here in the Philippines, and it's for the most part accepted still.
Yes.
And so I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it. By the grace of God, we were able to avoid it early on because of community and stuff like that. And so your question basically is, if you've experienced it, if you've experienced the pain of
Yeah.
having to go through it,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Yes.
What do you do? Yeah, well, I'm coming from
As a
personal experience.
personal experience,
I'm
sure.
coming from personal experience, and I'm sure my wife will. My wife, when she gets a chance, she'll say this. She'll say the same thing. The most important way to overcome, and please, we have very limited time. So, if I'm going to say one thing that you can remember, for the 9 people who are listening,
Mm-hmm.
I
is
think there's 10 now.
oh, there might be 10.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you said some people asked for me, were
Mhm.
asking if I was going to go. So maybe we'll have 10. So ngayon, would be, it's the power of forgiveness. It would be the power of forgiveness.
Ooh.
You have to get to that point where you have to say, our parents were doing the best that they could, and and they all sacrificed. Every parent sacrifices, and they do their thing, and they work hard, and they try their
Sure.
best, and so you have to understand that, and you have to accept that, for all their faults and whatever, it's out of love that they do it. And so sometimes parents, the famous saying, children learn what they live. So what happens is, their parents did this, so they end up doing that.
Wow.
So what happens is, it carries on into their own family practice. And so if there is pain because of that, if you have experienced that, you have to first forgive your parents, and it comes with an understanding of saying, they sacrificed a lot because they loved us. They weren't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody receives this, needs to receive the mercy of God, each one of us. And so it comes with acknowledging first that your parents are, fallible. Of course, they're just humans, and you have to forgive them. And it, like I said, don't get me wrong, it's not easy.
It
I know
sucks.
it's
not
very
an oversimplification of
I'm
the,
not trying to oversimplify it. In fact, sometimes forgiveness takes a process. You might need
Sure.
to talk to someone and help someone. Sometimes it
Absolutely.
says, in the scriptures say, confess our
your
sins to one another, and pray for one another, and the grace of God will heal you, and you'll experience the healing of God, things like that. And so it's really the power of forgiveness. And if I can say a second thing, it would be, somehow to find it in your heart to honor your parents, no matter what. They, again, going back to the fact that they sacrificed, they tried their best. Maraming, of course, maraming pagkukulang. Your mom and I, the same thing. First is, I guess I don't know which comes first, whether you know put it in your heart to determine in your heart that I want to honor my parents and therefore I forgive them, or maybe just forgive them first. But definitely it would be those two things. You have
Yeah.
to somehow learn to honor our parents because of all the sacrifice, that they made, and of course forgive them because they were doing their best, and
Yeah.
everybody, falls short.
This
Everybody falls short, and so makes mistakes. And so if you can show them mercy as God shows each one of us mercy through Christ, if you can show them mercy and forgive, that's the first step to healing, really.
yeah.
So
This might open a can of worms, but just bear with me here. Is it possible to honor your parents, but also remove yourself
them off?
from a toxic situation? Let's say that we have listeners that are, let's say, not really in the best communicating terms. Is it how does honor look like when
Of
you're
course
trying
there
to
are,
also
like abusive parents
yes when
too,
you're
right?
yeah when you're
Mhm.
trying to also heal, diba?
Yeah.
Let's
as I said, it's not as simple as
yes
what we can discuss. There's many ways. There's prayer.
Yeah.
Of course, as a pastor, the first thing I do is the first is prayer,
yeah
and going to God. Of course, there are many counselors also who
Yeah.
are counselors, and even psychiatrists who can help with this and this process and all of that. But definitely, sometimes you might need legal assistance or whatever. So there's a number of ways that you can approach very like an abusive situation. But yes, it is possible to honor parents and still distance yourself.
right
I think
And
even just
you
by
don't-
forgiving them
Yeah, you can
from afar.
yeah, you can forgive them, and you can honor them in your own heart. Now, forgiveness kasi, total forgiveness kasi is in your own heart.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just one way.
That's you. The reconciliation, or like
Yeah.
dealing with the parents is a separate
step,
topic. It's
yeah.
another step, and it may not be necessary.
Sometimes
Yes,
Total
I think-
forgiveness in your heart is not. It's not necessary to
Yeah.
to reconcile or whatever.
yes
If it's a situation, in fact, in some abusive situations, if it's really abusive, I would say
absolutely cut it off.
forgive, cut off, but don't put yourself in a situation where it could happen again,
Yeah.
and your emotions could be
Yeah.
hindered again, and the open and wounds could be open again. So, but like I said, it's not that
It's-
easy. It takes a process, and and there's a lot of wonderful churches who would be willing to help in situations like that. Wonderful pastors, wonderful ministers who would be willing to help, and of course, a number of counselors too. Certified counselors and
Yeah.
all who'd be willing to help in situations like that, if things get too difficult, and if that in your head, sometimes in your head, yes, okay, tama siya, kailangan forgive, kailangan honor your parents, but you find it difficult, the best would be to go to someone, pray with someone, find a Christian
just help
friend.
walk with you.
Yeah,
through the
someone
process.
go to a priest, go to a pastor, go to your community, so that you can discuss it and walk through it again. Just the same as we needed community in order for us to be decent parents, okay, to be human beings who are walking in health of emotions and things like that. We also need community.
Yeah.
We need community, and we need to discuss these things with people who are well-meaningful, and want to help, and want to pray with you and believe what's best for you and encourage you in these things. But it is possible, and I firmly believe this, that it is possible to rise above the pains of favoritism. It is. With faith in God, you can rise above it. With good community, you can rise above it. With the grace of God helping you to forgive and make a decision
to
that I'm going to
heal.
honor my parents, it is possible. I firmly believe that. So,
With that said, I mean, it's a very short and sweet episode, this one, short and sweet. I just want to honor you, Dad, because first of all, you shared very personal things on the podcast, and I think we really have bared our souls on this
We really
podcast,
have.
right?
To the
But
10 people
yeah.
listening to us.
No, but Dad, we mean it when we say that there was no favoritism, and we know that that wasn't the case for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, we Opa and Oma, our grandparents, we love them, we miss them.
Sure.
We know that they're together in heaven, but we know that the grandparenting was different from the parenting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so it was a little different,
Yeah.
and it is such it's a testament to the goodness of the Lord, how you were able to do that, and we can
like really overcome that
and
as
really overcome
parents.
that. And so I think it's just such an encouraging thing to share, that you were able to do it with your kids, even if you didn't have that as a young boy, as
Right.
a young man.
Yeah.
And I just thank you so much for that. And it's just it's been such a joy to grow up in this household. And I can't even believe that we're doing this, actually, this whole
Mhm.
podcast setup.
Right.
But I look forward to exploring other topics, other things that we can kind of
Pick your brain on.
mince and talk about. But
Mhm.
thank you so much for sharing, Dad. I
Yeah.
really, 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 truly appreciate it.
I concur.
Uh-huh. Well,
you like-
again, yeah, your mom and I really wish your mom was here. It might have gone so much longer. if she
It
was
would have been a
here.
3-hour episode.
But again,
yeah.
we'll have
do it.
another
We'll
time.
do it.
But thank you for having us, and we want to thank you also. We're honored that you would want us to be part of this, but we want to thank you for both of you and your siblings as well, pursuing your faith, really wanting to become the best people that God wants you to be, and to be an encouragement and to be a blessing to other people. We really see that in all of you. We see that in Nico. We see that in Vince as well. So we're very grateful. We're very grateful as parents. We are very fulfilled. We're very satisfied, and so we're grateful. We're grateful as well. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for having me on this podcast. If I talk too much or talk too fast, pasensya na kayo.
Don't worry.
Anyway,
We got it
So,
in post-prod. But thanks,
God
Dad.
bless.
We
God
love
bless
you.
We love you. God salamat talaga.
Yes.
GST.
GST. Arnel
Um,
Bismonte, GST.
May shout out.
Oo nga.
Oo.
I guess
Siyempre.
see you season 2, guys.
Yes! That was season 1 of the Sister Act podcast from Nica, Bea, Julius, Eileen, Elijah, Isabella, Priscilla, Nico, Vicente.
Vince.
Wow, that's our whole family, guys.
Yes.
Tyler, Ariana, and Mateo.
Yes. We'll see you in season
We'll see
2.
you in season 2.
Bye.
Bye. Did we forget anyone?
No, I don't think so.